I never thought my journey in tech would turn into a story of betrayal. Coming from Seattle, I had always dreamed of creating apps that would truly make a difference in people's lives. My passion for coding started early, and in college I met Jackson, who quickly became my best friend and fellow dreamer. We spent countless hours discussing our startup ambitions and revolutionary ideas. But during a camping trip, I had an epiphany that would change everything. I never imagined my biggest idea would be stolen by the person I trusted most. Hey everyone, before I continue this story, where are you watching from? Hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever been betrayed by someone you trusted. I grew up in a modest neighborhood in Seattle, raised by my single mother who worked double shifts as a nurse to make ends meet. Despite our financial struggles, she always encouraged my fascination with technology. I remember building my first computer when I was 12, salvaging parts from discarded machines at the local repair shop. Those early experiences sparked something in me that would shape my entire future. By some miracle and countless late nights studying, I managed to secure a scholarship to the University of Washington to study computer science. This was my golden ticket, an opportunity that changed the trajectory of my life. College was challenging but exhilarating. I was finally surrounded by people who spoke my language of algorithms and coding structures. It was during my sophomore year in an advanced programming class when I first met Jackson. He sat next to me on the first day, confident and outgoing in a way that I never was. While I stumbled through social interactions, Jackson moved through the world with an ease I envied. He had this natural charisma that drew people in, making connections effortlessly at every tech meetup and campus event. What made our friendship work was how our skills complemented each other perfectly. I was the technical genius, able to code complex solutions and understand the intricate details of software architecture. Jackson, on the other hand, had an incredible business mind. He could spot market opportunities and explain technical concepts in ways that made investors and non-tech people light up with understanding. We spent countless nights in the dorm computer lab, fueled by energy drinks and frozen burritos, working on various projects and assignments. Those nights cemented our friendship as we shared not just code but our dreams, fears, and ambitions. After graduation, we both faced the harsh realities of the competitive tech industry. I landed a junior developer position at a mid-sized tech firm called DataSphere. The work was interesting enough, but it was clearly just a stepping stone. My ideas were often overlooked in favor of safer, more conventional approaches. Jackson, with his networking skills, secured a marketing role at Breakthrough, a well-funded startup that was gaining attention in the Seattle tech scene. Despite our separate career paths, we made it a point to meet every weekend at our favorite coffee shop, Analog Bites. These meetups became our innovation incubator, where we would brainstorm startup ideas and critique each other's concepts. We filled notebooks with potential products from social media apps to enterprise solutions. None of them felt quite right, but the exercise kept our dreams alive. Our friendship deepened through personal hardships. When Jackson went through a devastating breakup with his girlfriend of 3 years, I was there letting him crash on my couch for weeks while he pieced himself back together. He returned that support when my mother was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer a year after we graduated. Jackson drove me to visit her when I was too emotionally drained to drive myself, and he helped research treatment options when I was too overwhelmed to think clearly. During those difficult months, we made a promise to each other one day. We would build something meaningful together, something that would make a difference in the world and give us the freedom to chart our own course. One tradition we established was an annual wilderness trip where we would completely disconnect from technology. No phones, no laptops, just nature and conversation. It was during our 3rd annual trip to Olympic National Park that our lives would change forever. As we hiked through the lush forest trails and set up camp by a crystal-clear lake, our conversations turned to the problems in healthcare. My mother was now in remission, but the experience had opened my eyes to the inefficiencies in medical appointment scheduling. She had faced countless rescheduled appointments, long waits, and communication breakdowns between different specialists. These frustrations became the seed of what would later become the most significant idea of my career and ultimately the source of the most painful betrayal I would ever experience. The breakthrough happened on our second night camping near the shores of Lake Crescent. We were sitting by the campfire, the stars brilliantly clear above the Olympic Mountains. I was venting about how my mother had to reschedule her radiation therapy 3 times due to administrative errors. The whole system is broken, I said, tossing another log onto the fire. These scheduling issues are literally putting lives at risk. That is when it hit me. I grabbed a napkin from our dinner supplies and began sketching furiously. What if we created an app that could revolutionize medical appointment scheduling? Not just another calendar system, but something that uses predictive algorithms to optimize the entire process. I started outlining an algorithm that could factor in patient history, treatment urgency, provider availability, and even traffic patterns to create the most efficient scheduling system possible. I called it MediConnect. Jackson leaned over my shoulder, his eyes widening as he grasped the potential. Colin, this is it. This could be our big break. We spent the rest of the trip refining the concept, identifying potential obstacles and brainstorming solutions. By the time we returned to Seattle, I was bursting with energy and ideas. The napkin with my initial sketch was carefully preserved in my notebook, a physical manifestation of a moment of inspiration that felt truly special. Back in my apartment, I immediately began coding a prototype. Every evening after work and throughout the weekends, I immersed myself in bringing MediConnect to life. The core of the application was a unique algorithm that could analyze patterns and optimize scheduling in ways no existing system could match. Jackson visited regularly, offering business insights and suggestions for user interface improvements. His enthusiasm matched mine, and he began reaching out to his contacts at local clinics to arrange early user testing. The results were encouraging. Medical office managers who tested our prototype were impressed by its intuitive design and powerful capabilities. One clinic administrator told us, "This could save us hours every day and significantly improve patient satisfaction." As the technical aspects of MediConnect took shape, we began discussing the business side more seriously. Jackson, with his connections in the startup world, arranged meetings with potential investors. We prepared pitch materials, refining our presentation until it clearly communicated both the problem we were solving and our innovative solution. The potential seemed so enormous that after 3 months of development, I made the difficult decision to quit my job at Datasphere to focus on MediConnect full-time. It was a risky move that depleted my savings, but I believed in our vision. Looking back, I should have noticed the warning signs sooner. Jackson began holding investor meetings without me, claiming they were just preliminary discussions or that the investors specifically wanted to talk about marketing strategies. When I asked about formalizing our partnership agreement, he always had a reason to postpone it. "Let us get the funding secured first," he would say. "No need to complicate things with paperwork yet." One evening, while referencing my development notebook, I noticed several pages were missing, including detailed flowcharts of the core algorithm. When I mentioned it to Jackson, he suggested I had probably removed them myself for a meeting and forgotten to put them back. It seemed plausible enough at the time. Then came the suspicious business trip. Jackson told me he needed to fly to San Francisco for a family emergency. He was vague about the details, which was unusual for him. 2 days later, I received a text from a mutual friend who had spotted Jackson at a tech conference in San Francisco. When I called our friend to learn more, he mentioned that Jackson was there pitching a healthcare app to investors. My suspicions now fully aroused. I checked Jackson's social media and found a photo of him at the conference with the caption, "Exciting meetings today, big things coming soon." That same evening, I received an email that was clearly meant for Jackson but accidentally included me in the thread. It was from a venture capitalist discussing next steps for MediLink and mentioning the innovative scheduling algorithm as a key selling point. MediLink, not MediConnect. And I had never spoken with this investor. The next day, I asked Jackson to meet me at our usual coffee shop. My heart was pounding as I confronted him with what I had discovered. "What is this MediLink company, Jackson, and why are you pitching our idea without me?" His face shifted from surprise to defensive anger within seconds. "You are being paranoid, Colin. MediLink is just a working title for one aspect of our business. I was doing preliminary market research, testing the waters before bringing investors to you." His explanation sounded rehearsed, but he seemed so sincere, looking me straight in the eyes with an expression of hurt that I had doubted him. He reminded me of all we had been through together, how he had supported me during my mother's illness, and how he believed in our shared vision. Against my better judgment, I wanted to believe him. We reconciled over coffee, and Jackson promised to be more transparent moving forward. He even suggested we schedule a formal meeting with his lawyer to draft partnership papers the following week. I returned to my apartment feeling relieved but still uneasy. That night, a text message shattered the fragile peace. A mutual friend from college had texted me, "Congrats to Jackson on the funding. Weird that he did not mention you, though. Thought you guys were working together. The message was clearly meant for someone else." When I pressed for details, our friend forwarded me a press release announcing that Jackson Williams had secured funding for Metalink, his innovative healthcare scheduling platform. With shaking hands, I conducted a business registry search and discovered that Jackson had registered Metalink Technologies 3 weeks earlier, listing himself as the sole founder. Further digging revealed a pitch deck nearly identical to the one we had created together, except with my name removed, and the algorithm described as Jackson's breakthrough innovation. The depth of the betrayal was staggering. The friend I had trusted with everything had been systematically stealing my idea, my work, and my future, all while looking me in the eye and calling me his best friend. The final confirmation of Jackson's betrayal came when I decided to confront him directly at an investor meeting I discovered in his email. The meeting was scheduled at the downtown office of Pacific Venture Partners, one of Seattle's most prestigious investment firms. I arrived unannounced, telling the receptionist I was part of the Metalink presentation. When I walked into the boardroom, the scene before me burned into my memory. Jackson standing confidently at the head of the table, my napkin sketch recreated on a professional slide, and a room full of impressed investors nodding along. The moment Jackson saw me, his face drained of color. For a brief second, guilt flashed across his features before he composed himself. "Colin," he said smoothly, "I was just telling these gentlemen about our collaborative project." "Your collaborative project," I responded, my voice surprisingly steady despite the rage and hurt coursing through me. "You mean my algorithm that you stole?" The room fell into uncomfortable silence. Jackson quickly tried to regain control. "Colin and I have been working together informally, but there seems to be some confusion about ownership. Colin is actually just the coder I brought in for the initial prototype." I could not believe what I was hearing. "Just the coder. I conceived this entire system. The algorithm is mine. The concept is mine. I quit my job for this." The investors exchanged concerned glances. One of them, a silver-haired man in an expensive suit, spoke up. "Perhaps we should reschedule until you gentlemen sort out your differences." Jackson somehow convinced them to continue the meeting without me calling security to escort me from the building. As the elevator doors closed, I caught a final glimpse of Jackson already back in presentation mode, my life's work being pitched as his own creation. The following week was the darkest of my life. I consulted with an intellectual property lawyer only to receive devastating news. Without formal documentation of ownership or a written agreement between Jackson and me proving the idea was mine would be extremely difficult. The technical details I had created were potentially protectable, but the legal fees would be astronomical, far beyond what I could afford after quitting my job. Meanwhile, news broke that Jackson's company, Metalink, had secured $2 million in seed funding from Pacific Venture Partners. The betrayal became public knowledge in our professional circle, with Jackson spinning a narrative that I was a disgruntled contractor trying to claim credit for his innovation. Our mutual friends and colleagues were forced to take sides, many seeing Jackson's apparent success and lacking the technical knowledge to evaluate his claims, believed his version of events. Others remained neutral, unwilling to get involved in what they saw as a personal dispute. I hit rock bottom one night in my apartment, surrounded by printouts of code and design documents for MetaConnect. My savings were nearly depleted, my professional reputation was in question, and the dream I had sacrificed everything for had been stolen from under me. I seriously contemplated giving up on tech entirely, perhaps moving back to my hometown and finding work in a completely different field. That same evening, my phone rang. It was my mother calling to tell me that her cancer had returned. The doctors had found new growth during her routine follow-up scan. The timing seemed like a cosmic joke, one final blow, when I was already at my lowest. Yet somehow, that call became my turning point. As I spoke with my mother, assuring her that I would be there for her treatments, I found myself thinking about the very problem MediConnect was designed to solve. Her new round of treatments would mean more scheduling challenges, more inefficiencies, more unnecessary stress during an already difficult time. That night, unable to sleep, I began reviewing all my work on MediConnect. In a folder of backup files, I found my original napkin sketch, with additional notes and calculations that only I, with my technical background, could have created. These notes detailed aspects of the algorithm that Jackson, with his marketing focus, would not fully understand. I also discovered time-stamped code repositories that predated Jackson's company formation by months. Digging deeper into the technical specifications, I realized that my implementation contained elements that Jackson could not possibly replicate without my expertise. He might have stolen the idea and the basic concept, but the true innovation, the technical heart of the system, was still mine to develop. This realization sparked something in me. Jackson had taken my idea, but he could not take my knowledge, my skills, or my determination. And without those, Metalink would never achieve its full potential. Instead of pursuing a costly legal battle I could not afford, I decided to channel my energy into building something even better than the original MediConnect concept. My counter strategy began with reaching out to a different venture capital firm, Horizon Innovations, known for their ethical standards and focus on healthcare technology. I was transparent about what had happened with Jackson and Metalink, presenting not just the original concept, but an evolved version that addressed additional pain points in healthcare scheduling. I showed them my original development work and outlined how my deeper understanding of both the technical and healthcare aspects would result in a superior product. Sarah Chen, the principal investor at Horizon, saw the potential immediately. "Ideas get stolen all the time in this industry," she told me. "What cannot be stolen is execution and innovation. Show me you can execute better than anyone else." Horizon offered a smaller investment than Jackson had secured, but it was enough to get started. More importantly, they connected me with healthcare providers who could offer invaluable insights for product development. I assembled a small team of developers I had previously worked with at Datasphere People who knew my capabilities and believed in my vision. We worked around the clock developing not just the core scheduling functionality, but additional features that Jackson, without my technical expertise, would not have considered. While Metalink focused primarily on patient-facing features, we built MetaSync, a system that integrated deeply with hospital and clinic workflows. We created predictive analytics tools that could forecast patient loads and optimize staffing accordingly. We developed secure communication channels between specialists, collaborating on complex cases. Each feature was designed with direct input from healthcare professionals, addressing pain points that only became apparent through close collaboration with the end users. This approach gave us a significant advantage over Jackson's more superficial understanding of the healthcare industry. 6 months after my lowest moment, both applications entered the market within weeks of each other. MediLink had the advantage of more substantial funding and flashy marketing campaigns. But MetaSync had something more valuable. It actually worked better for the medical professionals who would ultimately decide which system to adopt. The true test came at a major healthcare technology conference in Chicago. I had not seen Jackson since the day of the investor meeting, but I knew he would be there promoting MetaLink. Sure enough, as I was demonstrating MetaSync to a group of hospital administrators, I spotted him across the exhibition hall, watching me with a mixture of surprise and concern. Later that day, we came face to face at a networking reception. The tension was palpable as he approached me, champagne glass in hand. "I see you have been busy," he said, forcing a smile. "Your booth seems popular. Healthcare professionals appreciate a product built with their actual needs in mind," I replied calmly. "Something that requires more than just marketing spin." He lowered his voice. "Colin, this industry is big enough for both of us. No need to make this personal." I simply looked him in the eye and said, It became personal the moment you decided our friendship meant nothing compared to your ambition. Then I walked away, leaving him standing there alone. The following months proved that execution truly was everything. While Metalink struggled with technical issues and user complaints, Metasync gained traction with medical professionals who appreciated its reliability and thoughtful design. The watershed moment came when Northwest Hospital System, after thorough evaluations of both products, chose Metasync for implementation across their entire network. This victory was followed by industry recognition at the Healthcare Innovation Awards, where Metasync won for Most Impactful New Technology. I accepted the award thinking of my mother, whose second round of cancer treatments had been scheduled through the very system I had created. As news of Metasync's success spread, I heard that Jackson's investors were beginning to question his technical knowledge and leadership. Several key developers had left Metalink frustrated by the disconnection between Jackson's promises and technical realities. My victory was not about revenge, but about proving that true innovation, combined with integrity, would ultimately prevail. 2 years after that fateful camping trip, Metasync was acquired by HealthTech Global, one of the largest healthcare technology providers in the country. The acquisition not only validated all my work, but provided the resources to expand our impact nationwide. Most importantly, it meant that patients like my mother would have access to better care coordination. My mother, now in her second remission, was one of the first patients to benefit from the full implementation of Metasync at her treatment center. Seeing how the system reduced her stress and improved her care experience brought everything full circle for me. The professional triumph was sweet, but the personal journey was more complex. The betrayal had left deep scars that affected how I approached new business relationships. I found myself hesitant to share ideas, suspicious of potential partners, and overly protective of my work. Recognizing these issues, I began working with a therapist who specialized in trauma and trust issues. Through our sessions, I learned to process the betrayal in healthier ways, distinguishing between reasonable caution and paralyzing suspicion. I gradually rebuilt my ability to collaborate without compromising my boundaries. Finding authentic mentors in the industry also helped tremendously. Daniel Freeman, a veteran healthcare technology entrepreneur who had faced similar challenges early in his career, became particularly important in my healing journey. The tech world is full of sharks, he told me, but also full of brilliant, ethical people who will help you soar. Learning to tell the difference is essential. 3 years after our falling out, I received an unexpected email from Jackson. Metalink had been struggling with mounting technical debt and losing clients to competitors, including Metasync. The tone of his message was humbler than I had ever known him to be. "I owe you an apology," he wrote. "What I did was unforgivable, and I have paid the price professionally and personally. The success you have achieved with Metasync proves what I always knew deep down, that your vision and skills were the true innovation. I do not expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know that I recognize the harm I caused." I sat with that email for days before responding. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to leave him wondering if I had even read his words. But another part recognized that holding on to resentment was only hurting me. My response was brief but honest. "Jackson, I appreciate your apology. The betrayal changed me in ways I am still discovering. I have moved forward and built something I am proud of. Not in spite of what happened, but because of what it taught me. I wish you well in whatever comes next for you, but our paths should remain separate. I chose forgiveness not for his benefit, but for my own peace." Yet, forgiveness did not mean restoration of trust or friendship. Some bridges once burned should remain crossed only in memory. The whole experience taught me invaluable lessons about protecting my ideas while still collaborating effectively. Now I insist on proper documentation and clear agreements from the earliest stages of any project. I maintain detailed records of development, work, and communications. These practices are not just about legal protection, but about establishing transparent, respectful, professional relationships. Perhaps the most profound lesson was learning to trust again, but with appropriate boundaries. I no longer enter business relationships with blind faith, but I also do not let suspicion prevent meaningful collaboration. This balanced approach has led to partnerships that have taken Metasync in exciting new directions. Looking back, the betrayal that once seemed like the end of my career actually propelled me toward greater success than I might have achieved otherwise. The original version of MediConnect, while innovative, was not as comprehensive as what MetaSync ultimately became. The challenges forced me to dig deeper, think more critically, and create something truly transformative. There is a certain peace in knowing that my success came through excellence rather than revenge. I built something better not to spite Jackson, but because I was capable of more than either of us had initially imagined. Today, I use my experience and success to mentor young entrepreneurs, helping them navigate both the technical and interpersonal challenges of the startup world. I emphasize the importance of choosing partners wisely and protecting intellectual property, but also the value of resilience when things go wrong. The journey from betrayal to triumph changed me forever. But instead of making me bitter, it made me wiser, stronger, and ultimately more successful. Looking back, would you have been able to forgive someone who betrayed you like Jackson did? Let me know in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to hear more startup stories, and share this video with someone who might be facing their own professional betrayal. Remember, sometimes your biggest setback is setting you up for your greatest comeback. Thank you for listening to my story.